In the modern era, we've been taught to accept a few things as normal. That paying 30%, 50%, or more for rent is normal. That working more than half a week just to afford basic necessities is somehow okay. We're told, that's just the cost of living. That's just inflation. Then there's the classic, you should be grateful for landlords. They're providing you with somewhere to live. But the issue isn't what you can do with your money. The issue isn't even about your right to own property for yourself, but whether the power to profit from another person's basic need to survive is ethical, and if it should be allowed. So what's the real story? Let's start with some numbers. In the US alone, over 3 million evictions are filed every year. In the UK, a household gets hit with a no-fault eviction notice where you can be kicked out for no reason every 7 minutes. And this is happening while vacancy rates in major cities are at historic lows. Getting evicted is bad enough, but it gets worse. With private companies running tenant blacklists, one dispute with a past landlord, and you can be locked out of the rental market for years. One might think, so you turn to the safety net, right? Unfortunately, that net has been torn to shreds. The waiting lists for public housing in the US, UK, and Australia are hundreds of thousands of families long, a wait that can last for up to 10 years long. When you put it all together, the impossible rents, the mass evictions, the blacklists, the gutted safety nets, it stops looking like a series of unfortunate problems. It starts to look like a system that isn't broken, but running exactly as it was designed. This is the architecture of dispossession. So if the system is this bad, how did we get here? Believe it or not, it wasn't always this way. For decades after World War II, many Western nations actually built housing, lots of it, with the quote, Christian obligation to respond to individual needs for shelter and sustenance. Sure, the system was far from perfect, but it was built on a simple idea, that a secure home was a social good, not just a way to make a quick buck. Then starting in the 80s, the script flipped. Governments decided it was time to get out of the housing business and let the private market work its magic. In the UK, Thatcher's right to buy sold off over 2 million public homes, vanished into the public market, never to be replaced. In the US, Reagan also took a sledgehammer to public housing funds. With the government out, a new player jumped in. Wall Street and other multinational corporations quickly took advantage of tax policies that were supercharged to turn housing from a place to live into an asset to be gambled on. The goal was no longer stable communities. It was maximum financial return. Since the 2008 crash, massive private equity firms and corporate landlords have been on a shopping spree, buying up tens of thousands of units. A single company, Progress Residential, acts as the landlord for over 90,000 families. Invitation Homes owns 80,000 units, and one of the largest apartment owners, Starwood Capital Group, controls over 115,000 units. This system gave landlords a whole new toolkit for squeezing tenants. The most common tactic is something called renovictions, a fancy term for kicking you out to do a cheap paint job in order to increase the rent for the next person. Another common tactic is the owner move-in eviction. This is when a landlord legally evicts a tenant under the pretext that they or a close family member are going to occupy the unit. This tactic is especially effective at removing long-term, rent-stabilized tenants to reset the rent to the current market rate. As many other issues are, this is not an equal opportunity crisis. When there are 50 people applying for one apartment, landlords can afford to be picky. In the United States, black renters face eviction at nearly twice the rate of white renters. In Australia, Indigenous Australians account for nearly 30% of those needing help with homelessness. For millions of women, one of the main reasons they are forced to seek housing support is to escape domestic violence. And then there are those who arrive in a new country, hoping for a better future, migrants, international students, asylum seekers. They're often pushed into a shadow market of illegal, overcrowded share houses. Without a robust safety net, local credit history, or knowledge of their rights, these groups are the perfect targets for exploitation. For any of these groups, what does fighting back even look like? The legal system is complex, intimidating, and expensive. And housing precarity is not just the stress of packing boxes or the time-consuming process of finding accommodation. It can be a profound destabilization of your entire life. In his landmark study, Evicted, Desmond revealed that for low-income American families, eviction isn't just a result of poverty, it's a direct cause of it. It's a violent rupture that can trigger job loss, severe depression, and long-term harm. And this isn't just an American story. A major Australian study by Morris and others confirmed that just the threat of being kicked out is a direct line to serious anxiety and mental health issues. This isn't just a collection of personal tragedies. It's a full-blown public health crisis. Think about it for a second. We all know how hard it is to function when you haven't eaten all day, right? That feeling that drains all your energy and affects your mindset. Now imagine not having somewhere to live, your own bathroom, your own bed. That isn't just stress. It's a state of chronic anxiety that can rewire your brain. And international studies have linked it directly to higher rates of depression and suicide. That trauma is worse when there are kids involved. How can a parent be emotionally present for their kids when they're fighting a daily battle just to keep a roof over their heads? Housing instability is a key factor in poor health outcomes for children. It rips them away from their schools, their friends, their entire world, causing devastation and lasting effects on their development. The cycle of poverty is often brought up here, and that is certainly an issue to be addressed. But what about childhood trauma? The quality time parents lose with their children when they're young. The disconnection we all feel to our communities, our neighbors, and our life. So what's the official fix for all this? You've probably heard the talking points. Cash assistance, rent freezes, vouchers, government housing. Sounds good, right? Not at all. Not only are these programs chronically underfunded, the wait lists are a decade long. Many landlords won't even accept the vouchers, and it still doesn't address the issue of poor landlords. It's also a lottery system where even winning doesn't guarantee you a home. It also doesn't solve any of the root issues of landlordism, commodification, and the profit motive. The authors of the book In Defense of Housing argue that as long as housing is treated primarily as a tool for financial accumulation rather than a social good, no amount of piecemeal reform can fix the fundamental crisis. Okay, so what's plan B? The one everyone loves to shout. Just build more homes. When politicians claim the problem is that there aren't enough homes, it sounds simple enough. But the fact is, there are many housing projects being completed, and what's being built are single-family homes and luxury towers. Not homes for people, but assets for investors. Many sit empty for years, accumulating value, while homelessness gets exponentially worse. The dirty little secret of the development industry is that a housing crisis is just too profitable to solve. It's the same with the job market. Companies aren't incentivized to have everyone employed. It is more profitable to create a job market where everyone is desperate. So instead of fixing the problem, our governments just end up subsidizing them. Anytime a real, structural change is proposed, like ending tax breaks for speculation or building millions of non-market homes, the establishment screams, what about the profit motive?
I'm hungry, wanna go gather some berries?
Are you gonna pay me money?
What's that?
I think you can see where their priorities lie. If this all feels like a problem that never ever gets solved, that's because it isn't supposed to. This isn't a new observation. Many economists have argued that in a capitalist system, the housing shortage is no accident. It's a necessary feature that ensures wealth keeps flowing from the poor to the rich. So the crisis doesn't get solved, it just gets moved around. David Harvey gave this process a modern name: accumulation by dispossession. Can't find a job? Your fault. Born with a disability? Too bad. Can't afford to eat? Then starve. Can't afford healthcare? Just die. All of this is hidden behind the dry language of market forces. But here's the most important part. Although this crisis was inevitable, it was built by a series of political choices. And if it was built, it can be unbuilt. This is about more than just state-run public housing. The goal here is more radical. To build housing that is democratically controlled by the people who live in it. A vision where residents, not distant bureaucrats or corporate shareholders, have real power over their homes and their communities. A vision that removes the profit incentive. This is different from the top-down public housing models of the past, or of Vienna and Singapore. While those systems have provided security, they can just as easily be affected by neoliberal rollback. Ultimately, the fight for housing is a fight for the future of our society. Think about what you wanted to do as a young adult. Become a doctor, make music, but you have to get a job because you can't afford rent and food. Is life really worth it when you're spending half of it doing something you really could care less about? I would say no. Therefore, the struggle against eviction is about more than just rent. It's about challenging a system that puts profit above fundamental human needs. It's a demand to reclaim needs as a basic human right.